What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for tuning in. We're going to be taking a look at the trades that I made on the day. Nonetheless, another really good day, closing out the day up $2,550 currently. I have an open position on CGC of 30 shares, which is an open P&L of $75. So that's kind of fluctuating a bit. So depending on how that all pans out, the P&L could be a little bit different by closing bell today. But anyways, we traded AMD, CGC, DTIL, FATE, FTSV, and Roku today. So let's get into it. Let's take a look at them. So we'll start here with CGC. CGC was more of a swing trade from Friday into today, so I didn't really actually actively trade it today. I only closed out trades. I didn't buy on it. So let's take a look at that. So on Friday, if you look at CGC, it was in a So again, let's just look at it. We had this big move up on CGC like last week, right? And then we pull back, we're consolidating, and we get to this point, right? This is last week on Friday. This is last week Thursday here. We were just consolidating for 2 days straight. So that tells us that there's a battle going on between bulls and bears, right? And whichever direction wins, there's either going to be a snap down or a breakup. So I picked to go long just 100 shares, knowing that it's possible this breaks down in a move like that would happen on the day, but to the downside, and so that's why I went 100 shares. So I decided to go long 100 shares. I ended up buying on Friday here, and we broke up today, gapped up. We broke over this resistance, which I figured we were going to get through, and I mentioned this on our pre-market stream today. I also sent out this stock on the watch list in our free morning email, which you can feel free to get on. You just got to go to our website, links in the description. And then we got over this resistance mark here. We squeezed up basically to 2150, where I said we would probably make it to today if the rip happened. We'll probably see a pullback day tomorrow in the next couple days, but if we can break over this 2150 in the coming days to week, we'll have another really nice move up. But anyways, it was pretty straightforward, right? Look at this trend down that way. We're starting to break over that trend. So I got long here, 100 shares, anticipating we get to break over this trend, and we were just going to basically squeeze up. And that's exactly what we did. So panned out really well. So going into today, let's see. So I get long 100 shares yesterday, 1865, and then as it pushes up today, I close out 70 shares at $20.78. So really decent trade there. Ended up resulting in a total P&L of 225. Still got 30 shares on the position. Still have an open P&L of $75. All right, let's go over to AMD. All right, so AMD here was a trade in the morning. I thought it would go short on the day and just kind of break down pre-market. So I got short pre-market of 100 shares. With an average price of like $39.46, call it. And anyways, it breaks down, and then I could just feel it just wasn't going to go anymore. So I took it off and ended up getting out at $39.41 for a $10 win. So made $10 on that small short. Either way, still a nice trade, was right. Made $10. All right, on to the next one is DTI. We'll save DTIL for last. Now we'll look at FATE, F-A-T-E. We'll look at FATE. So traded FATE twice. I ended up making $700. And actually, before we get any further, I will mention that going into today and going into this week, I'm like, I'm going to trade with small shares. I'm going to protect all the money that I have been making because I know I'll probably have a red day comment. And then we got into the day, and I broke the rule. I was like, I just feel confident today. I feel like I'm going to have a good day. I feel like I should trade heavy size, and I did, and it worked out well. But that's the perfect example of still, even though it worked out well, I still broke my rule and went back on what I told myself I was going to do. And if I do continuously do that, I will have a red day inevitably one of these days, and it's probably going to cost me if I can't get that down here to listen to myself the next time I say go small share size. Though it worked out, I'm setting myself up for a bad day because I'm already not listening to myself. So if I'm not listening to myself now when I'm doing good, what happens when I have a bad day and I'm feeling kind of stressed and maybe angered and maybe even feel like I want a revenge trade? If I couldn't listen to myself on a good day, it might be hard to listen to myself on a bad day, right? So let's try and be mindful of that. So anyways, Stock's gapping up, fate up from 13 all the way to 18. Cool, sweet, awesome. Anyways, it has a really strong candle up, and then it kind of pulls back here pretty aggressively, but then we started getting this buyback candle with a decent amount of volume just ripping up. I'm like, okay, I think this can continue squeezing. So I kind of hesitated on this one. When I seen it pushing, I wanted to buy, but I hesitated and ended up buying up here at 1919, like basically 1920, like right here. I hesitated a little too long, and then I bought in, and it didn't really work. So I took off some shares here I bought in 2,000 shares. I took off, 1,000 shares at 1924. Then I caught slippage on the way down, and then I got the rest of my 1,000 shares out at 1850, right? So I ended up having I was negative 600 here on that trade. So at this time I was down about $400 on the day. And then when we got this really big bearish beat candle, you'll actually see I sized up here. And so undeniably, without a doubt, I was a little angered at myself for holding this a little bit too long and catching some slippage. And I did size up here, a little bit angered at the first trade, but I got to explain what I was actually doing, and it was actually a pretty strategic move on my behalf, I got to say. So anyways, we see this green candle go up, right? That's a bullish candle. Then look what happens next. We get a really bearish red candle that engulfs the previous screen. So the likelihood that this was going to decrease more was pretty high because we had a bearish engulfing candle. How much it would go, again, that's always up for debate. If we would have broke support or not, we could have tanked. So when you look at hindsight 2020, you realize if I would have held the short, it wouldn't have worked. But if this short would have broke down low a day and went smacking down on 4,000 shares, you'd be like, you're a fucking savage, right? You'd be a genius. So I knew that after we got the bearish engulfing candle, the likelihood that this decreased more from, where it was at was most likely going to happen. So I knew that it was the early morning volatility. We had pretty decent volume in the 148,000. I could easily get in 4,000 shares without really catching too much slippage on the way down. So I'm like, okay. So I get in 2,000 shares initially. When I first got in 2,000 shares, everything was going good. And I seen that by me getting in 2,000 shares, I kind of shook up the market a little bit, and I actually caused the market makers to decrease the price a bit. And I knew that if I hammered it another 2,000 shares, I could shake up some more traders and probably get the market makers to move the price down a little bit. So I basically marketed in 4,000 shares knowing that after that bearish engulfing candle, we were probably going to move down lower. And if I hit it really hard with 4,000 shares, that would also kind of, in a sense, manipulate the stock a little bit through a market order to get the price of the stock to decrease, which would usually result in dropping a little bit more, and I would be able to make a win and offset that loss I just had. And that's exactly what I did. And I was able to go from a 600 red P&L to a $710 P&L. So I basically made, lost $600 and it made like a $1,400 trade there to offset the initial loss. But I kind of knew that using the heavy size and marketers, I would have been able to help push that price pretty significantly. Okay, moving into the next one is Roku. All right. Roku wasn't bad, but it wasn't really good. It was just kind of meh. So it's meh. I don't know. We'll talk about it. So anyways, a trader in our room by the name of Hyper Sniper, he's the moderator. He changed his name to Hyper Sniper. It used to be Hyper Scalp for the longest time. And, if you watch this video, I think you should change it back to Hyper Scalp because that's the way I remember it. So it just seems weird saying Hyper Sniper. And then there's a Hyper and then Sniper. It rhymes too much and just throws me off. But anyways, he was and I was already watching Roku. He was watching Roku, and I'm kind of looking at Roku. And then he's like, hey, guys, everybody in the chat room watch Roku long. And I'm like, man, that actually looks pretty good. I think he jumped in a little bit earlier than I did. And, I kind of hesitated on this buy too. I seen it, I knew it was probably going to pop, and then it did pop over the trend line. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Since I'm catching a little bit late, we'll go 200 shares instead of 400 or 500, right? So it pushes up. I go 200 shares long at 146.26. Again, still kind of catching the high here on this candle, right? And then it drops down. I'm red, maybe about $100. Pushes up here. I'm green. So I take off 175 shares at 146.59, leave on 25 shares. And then as it kind of pulls back off this resistance, starts getting bought up, I'm like, you know what? This is kind of a squeeze point thing. We're going to continue a little bit. So I end up getting long 300, and I size in a position of like 600 shares or something, right? And we're kind of pushing up, we're ho-humming along, we're pushing up, we're ho-humming along. It's just really not giving you that fast momentumous move. So I was looking for a break over this 147 area. And the reason I was looking for a break over there is if we go back to that day, if we go over this, you see this big breakdown here. This is 147, right? So a lot of people are shorting. You can see all this selling volume. So a lot of people are short. So if anybody decided to short here and then swing trade it into this week Monday, they would get squeezed out over that level, and they could create a nice short squeeze and a push, and that's what I was playing for. And then we never just really got it, and I could just feel it was kind of sluggish. So I ended up taking it off, and it resulted in a P&L of $80. And if you guys want me to show you this trade, I'll do this from I think it was last week Friday. This is one where I just slowly sized in. I put a picture of this on my Instagram too, but I just slowly sized in a position here. Basically saw this big drop and was just buying the dips until we broke this trend line, squeezed up, and I started taking off that position. Okay. And then any hooser. So that was Roku today. I mean, like, not terrible. You know, you managed it. You made $80. Cool. All right. So then over to DTIL. So at this point, I'm up about like $1,000 on the day with just trading in general. Okay. And I'm looking at DTIL. And before I got offline, you know, I'm online with everybody in the chat room, and I was kind of watching this. And if you look, I mean, this candle here got bought up. We're starting to trend up. You know, the selling volume started to decrease a little bit. The buying volume started to pick up. So I ended up taking 100 shares on this candle before it turned red, and then it just like slammed down. I'm like, oh, well, clearly. And I only took 100 shares because I knew that it was basically like a teeter-totter. Like whichever way it decided to go was going to be the way that it would go for that moment in time. And so that's why I started with 100 shares, knowing that there was kind of some risk there. So that's why I only started 100, and I was like, okay, if I go 100 now and it doesn't break up and it starts to look better, then I can go maybe 200, or I could take it off. So I just sized in small there, and I pretty much was instantly wrong. So then I lost like, I don't know, I think it was like $75. And then I'm like, all right, guys, you know, I'm good. That's it. I'm going to be done trading on the day. And then it rolls down again, and something told me, you know, really at this point, the greed got to me. And I'm like, you know, and initially here, I thought it was going to bounce, and then it goes down. And then I'm like, well, maybe after this big drop, it really doesn't want to go up on the day. And I see this go down. I'm like, you know what, maybe this is just going to turn into like a really crazy short. And then the greed got to me. I'm like, if this does, I could just smoke it with 2,500 shares, make a big win. And so I ended up getting short on this candle, 2,500 shares. It pops up. I'm instantly like red, like a couple $100. I'm like, oh, you idiot. Did you really just put yourself into a stupid losing position? I'm like, just give it a second. It's only one candle. And then we kind of roll down again, and I'm green a couple $100, and then I could just feel it wasn't going to move. So I tried to start taking some shares off on the bid, and in result, I started making the bid go up. So I basically started squeezing myself out, and I'm like, ah, shit, this isn't going to work. So then I ended up just marketing out, took a loss of like $150. Then at that point, I was only up like $800 on the day. And after I was in short and then I felt the squeeze coming, I realized that this probably isn't going down anymore. And if you guys remember my recap video from, if you remember what I said in my recap video on Friday, at the very end, I said the more and the more and the more and the more you trade, the more and the more and the more you learn, the more and the more experience you get. So just like this, I had already traded quite a bit on the day. I went long and realized it didn't work. And then I went short and realized it didn't work, which helped me realize it was a long, right? And all the way down, I was managing those trades, taking small loss until I took a decent trade and made a big win, right? So what I was getting at is the more and more you trade, the more you learn. And sometimes like this, you might be trading the stock and trade it wrong. And those wrong trades lead you into realizing what sort of trade it probably is. And if you do a good job at managing your loss on those trades, you can still jump in and make a good trade and win back the money you lost on it initially, so to speak, right? So that's what happened is I got in the short and I could just feel that it wasn't going down, and it probably wasn't going to go down. And if I kept holding it, I would end up in a big red position. So I'm like, let's take it off, and now let's watch it long. And so anyways, let me zoom out a little bit. It jumps up here. I get long on the top of this red candle, so I'm not going to lie. I chased that candle up. So I was already trading a little bit at this time, just took a couple losses. So yeah, I'm getting a little less stable. I'm not thinking as logically a little bit, right? So it pushes up. I get long on this candle, 25 shares, drops on them instantly down like a lot of money. I think it was from 1035. So anyways, basically put it this way. I got long 2,500 shares. It comes all the way down. I was red $700 in a day. So I went from green 800 to red $700 in like one candle. It's like, oh, you idiot. And at this point, I wasn't even really emotional because I know that for the past like 3 months, I've just been crushing it. So I'm like, yeah, I just had $800 and now I'm red 700. It's like, yeah, that does really suck and it does feel shitty, but you've really been trading really well. And so don't get down on yourself too much about that little wrong entry, right? And and then I'm like, okay, so you just went 800 green. You were 800 green, then you just went to 700 red, okay? But you were also just in a short position just before this, and you told yourself you got out because you don't trust that it's going to be going down anymore. So why would your mindset change, right? Why would you all of a sudden now think that it's not going to continue up after you've gotten in just because one candle goes down and shifts your P&L to red? So I go, Connor, don't let the P&L affect your trading. You were just in a short, and you knew the short wasn't going to work out and the price is probably going to go back up. So do you still believe that if you were in that short right now, you would want to hold your short because you think it's going to go down? And it came to the conclusion, and it's no, this is most likely going to continue back up, and you're probably right. This is going to continue up. So we get the pullback, and it starts to just kind of slowly grind back up, but I can feel we're going to chug along. So I even add another 2,500 shares. So I got long here, and then, long on this candle. Then I added 2,500 shares here. And as it's pushing up, I end up taking off all those 5,000 shares at $10.52. If I would have held it to the top of this move, it would have ended up resulting in about a $5,000 trade. And I'll even say this here. It says I got them all out at 1050. I tried to get some out at 1080, but again, when the price pushed up to 1080, I tried to get out on the ask about 1,000 shares. Market makers wouldn't take it. Not a shocker. So I'm like, okay, I'll just mark it out 2,500 shares, close out half my position right now. So I try to close out half my position while the spread is like, probably like 1075 to 1085, and nope. Market makers drop the price all the way down to like 1050, take off my 2,500 shares. And I really should have just held some, but after I seen how the market makers were just jipping and being little assholes on my market order there, I was like, you know what? I was like, fuck this. I'm out, whatever. It's a good win. I'm up on the day. I don't need to press this anymore. Just take your money and run and be happy. I mean, you almost fucked yourself, Connor. Just you're good. Just take it. Have a good day, right? Like, all right, awesome. So at that point, I get offline. I stop trading. We do our mentoring class, our private mentoring class that you guys can obviously be a part of. Just got to join our trading team. So I do our mentoring class, and we're talking about high interest checking accounts a day and looking at a couple examples of different mutual funds and things like that. And then we do that class, and I get offline. I'm looking over at FTSV. And I told everybody to keep watching FTSV in our private group after I got offline. I'm like, keep this on watch. This thing is still kind of creeping up, and we could be looking at a breakout play. Is it FT? Oh, it's FT. Oh, I typed it in wrong. FTSV. I'm like, keep this on watch. This thing could, in fact, break out. Anyways, I am taking a trade on it like just a few minutes ago-ish. 20 minutes ago, and I made almost $1,000 on it. It turned into a scalp trade. I wanted more from it, but I took what I could get and realized that it just wasn't going to work out. Some of the stocks are just not getting follow through on your trade. So was it a great trade? No, not by any means. Did I manage it good? I managed it good. That's why it looks good on the P&L. But at the end of the day, I mean, we got no follow through. If we got the follow through, be like, holy shit, that was an amazing trade, Connor. Good job. Pat on the back. But because it didn't have follow through, it looks like a shitty trade, and it really ended up being a shitty trade. But I managed it well enough to make money, and a lot of times it's going to be the battle in trading. So you'll see a little trade here earlier in the day. This is basically nothing. This was me just trying to see if the stock was shortable because I couldn't see if it was shortable at the time when I did that trade. So I was like, all right, well, if it's shortable, it's going to let me short it. So I got short 10 shares, and of course it went through. So I'm like, all right, cool, shortable stock. Now I know that if I want to short it, I can short it. And then here, we have the bullish pennant, right? We have top, down, bounce, first attempt. Remember, first attempts usually fail. Learn that one. Down, third attempt, better chance to break out. So I'm like, all right, bullish pennant, long developing, good structure. It's been grinding up. It could have sold off here. It could have sold off there. Could have sold off there. Could have sold off there. And it hasn't. What's the likelihood we don't at least attempt a breakout? So We push up here, we pull back, and then we have this really solid bullish candle up. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going long. So I get long 2,000 shares on this green candle at 28.67 just before the high day breakout, and then it breaks out, squeezes up pretty much instantly to 29.38. So I'm already up pretty big money. And again, this has big range. So it's like even this small little movement, what looks to be small, is actually a big monetary value change. So I get in long 2,000 shares, pops up. I get in 2,000 shares at 28.67, and then it pops up to 29.42. Oh, it looks like I did I don't know what. Oh, I know what I did there. So anyways, yeah, I get in at 28.67. It pushes up to 29.17. I take off 1,500 shares, and it pushes up to 29.38. I take off 300 shares, and then as it starts to come down, I buy like 100 shares, and then close out the rest of it. Or there should be another sell up there. No, okay, cool. Anyways, so ended up resulting in a P&L of $873 on that trade, which puts me at about $2,500 on the day. And that's all we did for today. That's all we traded, and that's our Monday morning, and you can't complain. It's definitely a good day. So hopefully you guys learned something new, and my hat has mysteriously and magically shifted all around my head since this video started. I don't know how that happened. Anyways, everybody take care. Have a great day. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And as I said, if you want to get our email watch list, there is a link in the description that takes you to our website. And then from there, when you go to the homepage, there will be kind of like a little box thing. It says free daily email stock watch list or something like that. Click that, enroll into it, and then you can get our emailed watch list every morning that I remember to send it out. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I forget. But you'll get it every morning that I do remember to send it out. And then if you want to join our private group and trade with us live throughout the day and enter into our classes that we do, you can do so, again, through that link in the description. And there's also a coupon code there. Everybody take care. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And don't forget to hit a thumbs up on the way out.